Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and this message reads like this. Hello, my brother, how are you? Can you please post my own story as anonymous? My brother, Nashi, my story goes on like this. I am a man who is aged 37 years old, and I have a confession that I want to share with you. It was in the year 2010. That was when I got my first job. After I had struggled for a very long time, I then got this job as an IT guy, but I got this job, it was because of this other guy who was working at that company. He was in the top management, so he was the one who got me hired, and I thought that my life was going to change for the better when I got that job at that certain company. But when I was working there, it was as if I was the one who had brought along bad luck with me, because when they saw that there was no need for them to be taking people that were highly experienced, because this was like I was their test subject, they took me, yet I didn't know anything about IT. Then they started teaching me everything about IT. Within a couple of months, they saw that I was more than experienced than the one who had gone to study for IT in college or in university. So when they saw that this plan of theirs was actually working, they then decided that it was really far much better for them to get unexperienced teenagers straight out of college. Then they would just put them on the job, teach them on the job, then fire those that were highly experienced. When I started working for this company, since I was someone who was not as well experienced as the other people that I found there, I never thought that this was a terrible idea. But I later found out that this was not a good plan, because when now I was considering myself as someone that was well experienced and I wanted a higher salary, yet there was no higher salary that was coming towards me, because they were saying that I had learned everything on the job and I had no paper to prove that indeed I was experienced as I was. But yet the job that I was doing was the same job that those that had been fired had been doing. My brother, things really got so hard for that company, because this company then struck a deal with a local college, and this college, they were getting a lot of desperate students that were looking for any kind of placement so that they can just improve their CVs. So a lot of teenagers that were coming to work with us, your college students, they were almost working for close to nothing. This was just them donating their free labor so that they can just get a reference on their CV. For us that was now heavily reliant on this job, it was a very difficult position in which we found ourselves in. We were always stuck in a single place, and our salaries, instead of them increasing, our salaries, my brother, they were cut in half, and I was forced then to do extra work at a certain restaurant. This restaurant, it was a new restaurant in town that sold a lot of Western African cuisine, and a lot of people from West Africa that would come to dine at that restaurant. When I was working there as part-time, I then found favor in the eyes of my boss, because I would knock off from work, then I would rush to the restaurant, whereby I would work until it was late. He said that you are someone who is truly brilliant, and I can see that you want to be wealthy, but I am going to teach you, because wealthy will not come because of your hard work. So he used to tell me this each and every time, and I could not understand it, because as far as I knew, education was the key to success. But he was telling me that education was not the key to success. It was just a key that can help you to open up more doors in your life. After I had found favor in my eyes of my boss whom I was working for, I noticed that he would regularly visit his country back in Western Africa, and he would suggest that I was supposed to stay at his place, even though he had such a nice place. But this guy, he was not married. Most of these guys, they are not married that come from that part of Africa. My boss later found out that my girlfriend was having a problem of several miscarriages, and when he heard that this was the challenge that I was facing, he then took me to another doctor who was a French-speaking doctor in our country. He took me to that doctor who tried assisting my wife, but still, when she was 3 months pregnant, after she had fallen pregnant again, she had a miscarriage. My boss then said that this needed an African solution for an African problem. He told me that he was going to get me assistance. So he went back home in Western Africa, and when he came back, he gave me money which was from his country, and he told me that I had to take this money, and it was far much better if I was going to do this at least at night. I was supposed to look for a place whereby there was a flowing river that was always flowing, and when I would have arrived at that place where there was a flowing river, I had to get my feet into the water, and I had to throw that money that he had brought for me, which he was saying that it didn't have any value at all, but in the spiritual world it had a lot of value. What we were doing, he was connecting me to the gods of his country, and they were going to travel by the water, and they would then reconnect with me. And this is what I did, my brother. I then found a spot whereby I could actually get into the river at night without facing any danger at all. I went there, it was somewhere around 4 p.m. and I got into the bushes just when it was after sunset, when it was getting dark, not too much dark. I then got my feet into the water and I said a prayer asking for his gods to come to my country so that they can assist me. Then I threw away that money that he had brought with him when he had went to Western Africa, where his country is at. And my brother, after I had did this, I can say that his gods then found. After this, I can say that that was when I found favor in the eyes of his gods, and I had my first child. That was in 2012. Then my son unfortunately fell sick when he was only 4 years old. He got so sick one night, and the next thing that happened was that my son passed away. And after my son had passed away, I was really broke. I didn't know what to do anymore. Then this man who was my boss, he gave me more money. He said that this money was for the preparation of my son's burial, and I used that money for the preparation of my son's burial. And on my son's birthday, when he was supposed to have his birthday, I then picked up money. I was traveling from work on that night, so there was a lady that was sitting right next to me. Then this lady, when she got off the taxi, she then forgot her handbag. As someone that was really broke, my brother, I then decided to push that handbag underneath the seat that was in front of me. I did that just to make sure that no one was going to be suspicious of me. When it was time for me to get off the taxi, I got off the taxi and I then took that bag along with some of the plastic bags that had a few of the grocery items that I had purchased. Then I went home. Just before I could enter into the room that me and my wife were renting in, I went straight into the toilet because we had an outside toilet. I locked myself in the toilet and I opened up that handbag and I found out that there was a lot of money. I called my boss and I told him that this is what had happened to me. Was I supposed to throw away this money? And he said that no, this was a gift from the gods. The gods were actually feeling sorry for what had happened to me since I had lost my son. So they had given me this gift in form of money. That man then told me that the woman who had left this handbag behind, she was not actually a human being, but she was a goddess as well, who had been sent by the gods, more like a messenger of the gods that had been sent by the gods to give me this money. I was really excited, even though I could not actually tell my wife about this. I hid the money, then little by little, I then showed my wife the money, since this was quite a lot of money. My brother, from there on, I performed a lot of rituals, but I was actually assisting my boss who was performing these rituals. Some of the rituals, I am afraid to tell you about them, because my boss, what he would do is that each and every time that he would travel back to his country, he would bring back some herbs, and these herbs and charms, he would actually give them to some of his friends that were doing some illegal drug runnings, and they were using those charms. They used to pour those charms that were more like a powdered form on the drugs, so that the people who would smoke these charms, even if they will be taken to a rehabilitation center, they can always return back to their drug addiction. That was some of the magic that I saw them doing, but I do not want to talk about it. I just helped my boss to perform some of the rituals, because there were some of the local things that he wanted, local items that he wanted for some of these ritualistic ceremonies that they used to perform at his house. So they would use me because they didn't want to be known that they were looking around for these items, and with their accent it was a giveaway for them. So I then became sort of like a runaround boy for them, going to different traditional healers, going to different forests as well as different rivers, collecting several items that they were using to get a lot of people addicted to these things of their drugs that they were just producing all over the place. Then it happened that my wife, she passed away. When my wife passed away, this was in 2020. When my wife passed away, I can say that after a burial, that was when my troubles started. For the first time, I saw my wife. She was just standing in front of me. This was after I had been given some money by that man who was my boss. So when I walked out of his house, so I was waiting for someone to come and pick me up. Then I saw my wife. She was just walking towards me. She walked past me. Then I saw that she was angry at me. I thought that maybe I was hallucinating, or maybe some of the smoke that was inside was the one that was making me to imagine things that were not there, because the guy, he was a heavy smoker. So I thought that maybe it was a crossfire. I had actually gotten drunk or high because of the crossfire because of the smoke that was always in his house, the smoke of weed. So I thought that maybe this was just a hallucination. I got into the car, and when I arrived home, I felt so lazy to do anything. I then went straight to bed. This man had given me some charms to use so that I cannot see dead people because of the items that I used to go and collect all over the place. On that night, I felt so lazy to use those charms that he had given me. When I was fast asleep, I then heard that there was someone that was busy pushing me. I woke up only to find out that my wife, she was sitting right next to me, and she was actually wearing one of her nightgowns. She didn't wait for me to say anything to her. She then started attacking me, biting me, scratching me. I had a lot of scratches as if a dog had actually attacked me. My brother, from there on, when I was admitted into the hospital, that man, he was the only one who came and he assisted me, and he asked me if I had told any of my relatives, and I told him that I had told my mom that I had been admitted into the hospital, and he said that I was supposed to call my mom and to tell my mom that I was actually okay. I had actually been discharged from the hospital. Even though I was in pain, I did what this man had told me, and my mom had told me that the following morning she was supposed to get on a bus so that she can come and attend to me. That man said that if any of your relatives or if any of your friends is going to find out that this is what happened to you, then there will be no plan B for you. You are going to die, my friend. So in the fear of death, I then chose to lie to my friends that I had been admitted, and I just wanted to be by myself. So everyone was just asking me on WhatsApp if I was okay, and I will tell them that I was okay. When anyone would ask for some of my pictures, I would send them some of my old pictures. So my brother, from there on, that man quickly returned back to Western Africa, and when he came back, he said that he had gone to get me more help, and he wanted to have me admitted into their own club. He said that this is a very big club that is all over the place. This man, when he returned back, they gave me a walking stick. This walking stick, it is actually coated with gold, but this gold, it actually changes. Sometimes it appears, sometimes it disappears. Then at the tip of that walking stick, there is something that looks more like a terrifying lizard. This lizard, he said that it is for me so that I can attract some customers. This man then instructed me to open up a small restaurant, not very big, just a small one. He said that those few customers that would come to your restaurant, that is all that we need. And whenever these people comes to my restaurant, then there is always something that happens in the spiritual realm. But all of this, it came at a price, and the price that I have to pay is that this lizard, it is a sex-hungry lizard. It always wants to sleep with women, and if I fail to deliver in time, then it will cut off the number of years that were given to me, even though I cannot tell you how much I have left. But each and every time when I fail to deliver, it strikes out some years from the years that were given to me by this brotherhood. Lately, my brother, I have been experimenting a lot on some college students, because they are the ones that I found to be easy when I want to manipulate or to convince them. Whenever I want this lizard to have intercourse with any woman, I regularly go to those places where a lot of students are staying, offer one of them a lift, propose love to her, show her money, take her out on a date. Then on that same night, she will invite you back to the apartment where she will be staying at, just for the sake of money. This experiment has been going on, and I can see that when I started this experiment, I have managed to save those few years that were given to me, the few years whereby anything that I want in this world, it can be given to me on a silver platter. But one of these college students that I have dated, the ones that I have made to sleep with this lizard after she had invited me at her apartment where she was staying, she passed away, because what happened to her is that she woke up in the middle of the ritual when this lizard was busy having intercourse with her. When she woke up, when she saw this strange thing that was happening to her, she then fainted. But since she had seen things of the spirit, then that man told me that she did not deserve to live anymore, otherwise she was going to expose everything that had happened to her. Since she knew me and she knew where I came from, I was not supposed to be exposed. So this lady, what they did to her is that they started whispering to her. I don't know what kind of equipment or technology that they use, but they can actually whisper words into the minds of people. If they choose to target someone, they can actually whisper words throughout the day. And this lady, unfortunately, she passed away. What happened to her is that she kept on having an STI. This was after she had woken up in that middle of that ritual that I was performing. This caused her to have an incurable STI that she had gotten from this lizard that she was sleeping with. And she kept on going to several clinics. When she would go to these clinics, when they would find out that she has been on antibiotics for a very long time, they would suggest that she should stop taking any more antibiotics, otherwise her body was going to be antibiotic resistant. What she would do is that she would switch the clinic that she would have visited. She would go to a brand new clinic whereby she didn't have any file at all with that hospital or clinic, so that she can get more antibiotics, because these were the only pills that were making her to feel a little bit better, and she was mixing them a lot, and I knew everything that she was doing, and I could not stop her because that was part of the ritual. But I didn't know that this brotherhood had actually more evil in. But what I didn't know is that this brotherhood had more evil intentions about this young lady because of what she had seen on that night. One day I received a phone call from one of her friends, and she was busy crying. It was late at night. Usually when it happens in our brotherhood, it is from 1 a.m. until 3 a.m. This is the time when I heard that less angels will be going around, and that is a time whereby most of the evil is done. That is when I received that phone call, and she told me that that her friend, who was my girlfriend at that time, had passed away. This was after she had drank an overdose of those pills that were antibiotics, because she had seen herself physically sleeping with a lizard. So this thing shocked her so much, and she could not understand what exactly had happened. So my brother, when this lady passed away, that was when I started to have a guilty conscience in my mind, and I don't know for how long I'll be able to sustain my own sanity. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me. Wow. What a strange confession, what a strange confession. If you have any story that you want to share with me, please do not hesitate to contact us via our email address, or you can use our WhatsApp number.